Welcome to the Outdoor Biz Podcast, your home for inspiring conversations with outdoor insiders. Each week, author, speaker, adventurer, and outdoor industry veteran Rick Saez talks in depth with iconic brand founders, sales and marketing pros, product designers, and industry rising stars. Listen in when Rick's guests offer actionable advice to land your ideal industry gig and grow your outdoor career. Catch us again when the conversation shifts to the hottest outdoor products, destinations, and the latest industry insights. And now, here's Rick.
This week, Andy Wynne, TMC CEO and developer of Nuyarn, joins us on the podcast. If you're not familiar with Nuyarn Merino, it's revolutionized the merino wool industry. For the past century, we've been twisting yarn and downplaying a majority of the performance and comfort aspects that natural fibers have in nature. Nuyarn manufacturing technology has vastly improved the benefits of merino wool in terms of comfort, performance, and sustainability, and Andy's here to tell us about it. Welcome to the show, Andy.
Rick, thank you very much for having me. Great to be here, and pleased to be your host for the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, thanks. I look forward to learning more about Nuyarn and meeting with you a little bit and chatting. It's going to be fun. It's fun to be talking to somebody halfway across the world. I always enjoy that.
Well, thankfully, we've got the tools to be able to have these podcasts, etc. Because without travel at the moment, or with limited travel around the world, we wouldn't be doing that well without it.
Yeah, these days we wouldn't make it. Yeah, are you traveling to any of the shows coming up this year, or I guess next
year? Unfortunately, we'll be attending the majority of trade fairs through our brand partners. Mm-hmm. But my own personal capabilities and capacities to travel in January, February is somewhat restricted because of travel restrictions we have in New Zealand still. We're not as fortunate as certain countries in Europe and the United States and the UK, etc. So no, I won't. But I'm very, very eager to get out to a lot of the trade fairs come June, July, when we get into those summer fairs in Europe and the US. So definitely be in Denver and Munich and the like.
Oh, good. Well, I look forward to meeting you there. Yeah, it's going to be interesting next year as it was this year, depending on how COVID treats us. So you never know.
Correct.
So let's start out with the benefits of Nuyarn technology with merino wool. They line right up to the comfort and performance needs of outdoor gear. Are you an outdoorsy guy? Do you get out and hike and all that?
Yeah, I've been in the outdoor industry for most of my life since a small boy. Our business has sort of gravitated more and more into the outdoor sector over the last 5 years, and that's really because of innovation, technology, and the culture of our business. So in doing business with like-minded companies, we find ourselves having exited from other sectors and being a majority outdoor supplier or supplier into the outdoor industry. So it's an industry that we're very passionate about in our business, and everything that we do in our business seems to align very well with that sector. And so we through a whole host of initiatives have found ourselves we're very well geared up for that sector.
Yeah, it seems like it lines right up to it. What are some of the sectors that you are not participating in any longer?
So we used to sell a lot into the fashion industry, and then also into some of the industrial and more high performance sort of areas of flame retardants and those sort of things. So we've through a natural progression of our Nuyarn performance product have sort of gravitated into a world of our own, and that has really been very exciting for us, and I'm sure we'll go through that journey today. But we find ourselves in the outdoor industry doing business with brand partners who are at the sort of pinnacle of technology and innovation of their sector, and we really enjoy being there, and we continue to elevate and grow in that sector, we divvy the world up into geographic locations and sectors. Mm-hmm. And we aspire to deal with the best brands in those sectors. And it works really well for us because we're very, very like-minded in our approach. But I guess, Rick, to take a step back and talk a little bit about Nuyarn, your question around the sort of performance attributes of Nuyarn. Our business, or our TMC essentially comes from a sort of a textile background. And so most of us are historical textile engineers that found ourselves gravitating into the apparel industry in 2007, 2008, when the world was going into a GFC, when we were somewhat plagued with the economic challenges around the world. And a lot of businesses that we did business with basically said to us, well, if you can't offer us apparel, don't come and see us, because we don't have the capacity to buy fabric any longer. And so our business sort of started to evolve into textile and apparel. And we were very fortunate to have a really good demographic of customer and performance customer at that stage. But what became more and more evident to us was that we were somewhat hamstrung with being able to deliver on our own expectations and the expectations and demands of the industry. And we were one of those historic businesses that used to sit around the table and dream up what we thought the industry wanted, develop it, and then take it to market in a push strategy and hope somebody bought our technology. And we sort of changed gears and we reshaped our business. We brought some really, really smart people into our business, and we really upped our game. And we got into the marketplace and really understood where the opportunities in the market were, with whom, what we had to do to create it. And as a business, we were very successful in creating textile innovation or apparel innovation. But you are really, really restricted in terms of what you can actually do. And one of the challenges we had was we didn't have the capacity to innovate in yarn. We didn't have the capacity to innovate in fiber. And so we were at the mercy of what we could buy from some, really reputable yarn suppliers at that stage.
Right.
And so everyone that we were speaking to sort of was saying to us that they wanted, in the merino wool space, the lightest sort of weights that we could at that stage offer our customers was 160 odd gram, which really meant that we could really only cater for sort of that winter market, that with that sort of entry level base layer kind of product.
You didn't have the performance opportunity, right? With that weight.
So no.
Yeah.
And so the limitations really were, and coming through very, very crystal clear from very smart customers that we had, was we wanted a weight advantage. We wanted to have a natural fiber performance advantage. We wanted to have elasticity without using spandex or elastane. And, a lot of the fabrics that were on the market at that stage, after you'd washed the garments 2-3 times, etc., it would develop a hole. There were also some limitations around the performance of merino wool, and that was around the moisture absorption and the dry time. And so really our team of technical specialists that we put together, I had two options as the CEO. My option was to go out and recruit people from the industry that knew wool well, or go out and recruit people from other parts of the industry that were ignorant to wool. And what I settled on was to go out there and recruit people that didn't know wool, because I was determined to be an innovator in the space, etc. And we started from grassroots, getting onto farm, talking to growers, farmers, etc., and really understanding the real unique attributes of wool and what we were dealing with. And yes, we did understand that wool keeps you warm when you're cold, keeps you cool when it's hot, but beyond the flame retardant properties or the odor resistant properties of wool, we discovered that wool is an enormous high performing fiber and has the capacity to absorb moisture from vapor stage.
Right.
Now, unfortunately or fortunately, the opportunity was that we could take wool and we could gear it up, if we had the capability, to be a summer performance, high performance fiber, natural fiber. But due to some of the constraints that we were dealing with, the wool was basically taken through a process of spinning, twisted into a rope-like structure on a ring frame. And in creating a rope-like structure in the wool, which is twisted to keep all the fibers in there, the limitations that you have is that it's very difficult for the moisture to be absorbed And once the moisture is absorbed, it's very difficult to get out.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you don't have elasticity because it's a rope-like structure, etc. So if we fast forward to where we are today, TMC, with our Nuyarn technology, we create a yarn structure where we draft fibers around a very, very high-performance filament yarn with no twist. And essentially what we can do with our purpose-built, patented yarn technology is we can create a yarn structure in a 2-ply yarn about 35% finer than you can create a ring-spun rope-like structured yarn in a single yarn.
That's significant.
So now this is an enormous achievement for us because we can create a 2-ply yarn 35% finer than the industry can create a single yarn.
Mm-hmm.
So this has given us the ability to sit down in front of our brand partners and say, look, what are you wanting to do? So you're wanting to create the world's lightest climbing shirt. You want to create a very innovative cycle shirt or running shirt, or high performance items. And so we've been able to sit down, understand what it is that our brand partners are wanting to create, go away, and because we're a vertical business, we're able to do fiber selection, spin the yarn, make the textile and the apparel. And we're able to do a total package solution all the way to apparel, as opposed to how our industry has historically worked, rightly or wrongly, where the brand will sit down with apparel manufacturer and say, look, I really want to make this T-shirt. And they go and talk to a textile producer who goes and talks to a yarn producer. And then somebody comes back to you 6 months later with a garment sample and you really forget why you asked for it.
Right.
And so we can short circuit that amount of time to develop, but we can also, because we one business, is that we can understand either in sock or shoe or apparel or whatever the item in the apparel sector might be, neck gaiter, beanie, etc. We can fully understand and appreciate where the brand is wanting to go, what they are wanting to create and achieve. And 9 times out of 10 for us, our brand partners aren't historic merino producers. They might be hardware manufacturers that want to get into this space, but they can't afford to be a generic 100% ring-spun merino producer because there are many of those producers. They want to do something special, and they want to do something special with merino wool in a high-performance category, right. And they have to go high performance. And so the opportunity that our business has is that we have the technical aptitude and the experience in our business to engineer all the way back to fiber selection, all the way through to yarn, to fabric, and then to apparel if need be, or fiber to yarn to sock, for instance. And so
let me ask you, that's pretty amazing. How did you guys figure that out? I mean, was it trial and error, or how did you discover that you could go so light?
It's probably been a huge amount of well, it hasn't probably been. It has been a huge amount of pain and headache. So in this process of being determined to deliver on the expectations of the market, and in this process of being determined to fulfill the requirements of our brand partners, because there's a massive opportunity for us.
Yeah.
And it's there for the taking. We have gone from a sort of a generation 1 machine to a generation 2 machine to a generation 3 machine, which will be completed and launched at the end of 2022. And this, through our process, has given us the capacity to change the drafting systems of our machines, to change the speed settings of our machines, to give us the capabilities to source different forms of merino wool or different fiber length in merino wool, to give us better uniformity, to give us better abrasion, etc. Now, some of the important components to our business is that not only have we achieved what we believe to be a remarkable technical product. So we we have got about a 35% advantage in elasticity without having to use spandex or elastane.
Wow.
And so when you use spandex or elastane, the downside is that product can absorb up to 2.5 times its natural weight, and it retains the weight. It's got no wickable features. So if you're an ultra marathon runner or a cyclist, etc., you put it on, it gives you gorgeous elasticity around the contours of the body. When you perform, it's moving. But the downside is that it absorbs this moisture and it retains it, and weight is the enemy. And so in a short space of time with perspiration, that product really starts to retain weight and moisture. And so we have the capacity with Nuyarn to have a 35% advantage in elasticity with no spandex or elastane. Now, some of the advantages in the spinning technique of not making a rope-like structure is that we can get moisture into the fiber, like happens in nature, and we can get the moisture in there from vapor stage. And so a product like a polyester has to wait for the vapor to turn into droplets of perspiration before it can get absorbed into the polyester fiber. Because we don't make a rope-like structure with the wool, we enable that wool to behave like it does in nature and absorb vapor from the body when the body starts to emit moisture, and then dry quicker because it's not a rope-like structure. Now, we've got about a 40% advantage in volume. So that's aeration. Because it's not a rope, we can get air into it.
Right.
So these are massive advantages. And so a Nuyarn apparel performance item will dry up to about 5 times quicker than conventional wool.
Wow.
Huge advantage in elasticity without the need for lycra, or should I say spandex or elastane. There's advantages around thermal retention. So we've got a lot more volume in the yarn because it's not a rope-like structure. So we can go much lighter and be able to deliver the same thermal retentions or warmth properties as a much heavier product. And then in terms of abrasion, this is really where we start to really make significant improvements. And so most recently, some of the testing that we've undertaken at Intertech, where we have wanted to test industry norm kind of fabrics versus Nuyarn. We've taken a 160 gram, 180 gram, 100% wool jersey weight fabric. We've taken a 180 gram coarse spun product, which is very, very different technology to Nuyarn. And we've tested them for abrasion. And the 100% wool product really develops a hole at about 18,000 rubs on a Martindale abrasion test. The coarse spun product develops a hole at about 22,000 rubs on an abrasion test on a Martindale machine. The Nuyarn fabric, which is 120 grams, so significantly lighter, develops signs of degradation at 115,000 rubs. And so, Rick, from our perspective, we talk about performance first. So much lighter, capacity to absorb moisture faster, capacity to dry faster, elasticity with no lycra or spandex or elastane. And then we talk about carbon footprint, durability. In our business, we would suggest that durability equals sustainability. So our desire and our whoosh and how we select our fiber and how we spin our yarns and how we go through our whole manufacturing pipeline is so that the consumer can buy a Nuyarn product branded by one of our brand partners, and potentially for every one Nuyarn item they would be buying 9 other items. And so, if we talk carbon footprint, and we've spent a lot of time in our business assessing and analyzing carbon footprint, and if you engage companies that specialize in this field, they'll say to you, okay, well, what is your energy source? How do you get it to market, et cetera, et cetera. But once it's got to the retailer or to the market, their calculation stops. And we're saying, no, we actually engineer our products to outperform competing products. So it's lighter in weight, so there's less volume and less weight to get to the market. And if we can outperform competing products by somewhere between, 7 to 12 times the life of competing products, which means that for every consumer that buys a Nuyarn item, you're going to be buying on average 9 competing products, because those products will develop a hole and degrade much faster. Then that's the holy grail for us. And
it sounds like you also, Nuyarn products keep the athlete or the enthusiast drier and warmer without overheating because it's lighter. Because sometimes you get these products and they keep you dry and they keep you warm, but they're really bulky. So you end up overheating as you're skiing down the trail and you need to shed layers. It sounds like you avoid some of that.
So both in winter and in summer, there are competing desires from high performance athletes. So we the technology, the Nuyarn technology, because it is significant lighter in weight, because it is a higher performance product from an elasticity point of view, because we can take moisture away from the skin. This is a product that is lighter and more comfortable to wear. For sure, you're right. So you don't have, if you were producing a product with some kind of elastane or spandex, that product, like it or lump it, is going to be 180, 190 grams.
Yeah.
It will retain moisture. It will keep moisture because of the downsides of the fiber that you've used. And that is the way that it is. The other unfortunate situation is that because our industry and our world is going to laundering processes that consume less water, granular washing powder is becoming much more aggressive. And so granular washing powder and ultraviolet degrades spandex or elastane, and so it starts to lose its shape. And so, our determination was, how do we create innovation and technology and performance without using products that degrade, without using chemistry that will wash out of products? How do we create something that's a mechanical performance as a consequence of a spinning technology? So it's there until you throw the product away. Wow. And so how do we do this? And how do we become sustainable? How do we give the consumer the first performance wool in the world? And so this has been a burning desire of ours for years now. And in developing this machine technology, in creating our path to market, so we've elevated our business, what we offer with this technology, and we've elevated the brand partners that we do business with. And we are very, very fortunate today to be able to deal with the best people in the world.
So let's talk about that a little bit. How do you decide which brands to work with?
So I'm a very old-fashioned person, and I believe that business could and should still be done in a handshake. And I believe that if you can't, you're dealing with the wrong people. And so over the last 3 years, we've worked very hard in our business to change our culture. And so we treat our suppliers, our bankers, our lawyers, etc., like we treat our customers, because without them, we have nothing. We treat our staff the same way. We've spent a huge amount of time on culture internally and externally, and how we engage people and how we engage brand partners. And there are an enormous amount of like-minded brands out there, and ones that don't share your philosophies. And I think, life is short, and this isn't a dress rehearsal. And so I think that we have been fairly bold internally to make some rather broad decisions of who we want to do business with and maybe who we say thank you but no thank you to.
Right. Yeah. I was going to say who you don't want to. Yeah.
And these brand partners might be not from the industry. They might be, new startups, but with very, very disruptive kind of presidents running the company, or brands that have, or people that have built a brand, sold a brand, getting back into the industry, wanting to do it again, and is looking for a unique technology. But essentially, one of the fortunate situations or positions that we're in is that we don't really go out and try and solicit new customers. We roll in a new brand partner every 3 months in a very, very controlled fashion, because we can't afford, with our growth and the growth with our customers, we can't afford to get tripped up with our existing customer base. We also need to make sure that our new customers are aligned with our thinking. And we don't really want to compete in our own market. And so it's how do we attract like-minded businesses? And then once we've gone through that sort of look through the lens, are we aligned? Is there something, first of all, that we can achieve or not? We've got quite a detailed development process that we go through. And therein which lies the problem, is that there are certain companies or brands out there that actually don't want to think about to the third decimal point of what we're going to develop.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we've managed to improve our development phase from 2 out of 10 to 8 out of 10, just by solidifying at the beginning what it is that we're going to develop at the end. So a cycle brand wants to develop 110 gram cycle jersey weight fabric. They wanted to perform, in terms of moisture absorption, dry time, etc., elasticity. We'll ask the question: is that, are they going to wear a backpack? Are they going to? Because we want to know if there's going to be,
activity,
some abrasion to it, etc. We want to know if there's any unique attributes we need to bear in mind, etc. when we go through this process. And then this gives us the capabilities to then go back and look at, how do we select the fiber? Is there anything different we could use? Do we blend something with the merino wool? What sector are we going to? What period of time are we going to, launch this product? Is it going to be a summer product, winter product, etc.? And then continually assess and analyze, who we're doing business with, why we're doing business with them, what products are we selling, etc. And we grade our suppliers and our customers, according to a grading of A, B, C.
That's smart.
And A is that you absolutely have priority in our business. We're 100% aligned. B is, okay, maybe with a little bit of work, we can get you to an A or maybe a C. And C is that we aren't there, and we need to redeploy our energy in our business elsewhere. And I think, and we go through this annually.
Mm-hmm.
And so we do the best we can to be buying from the best people in the world, because we know, and COVID has once again taught us some valuable lessons, that without your suppliers, you have nothing. So if your customer gives you a massive order and your suppliers can't move things around because they don't like you, or they aren't geared up, or they aren't innovative in their thinking, you have nothing. And so, a lot of our suppliers like the fact that we go out of our way to treat them a little differently, and we share a lot more with them than most would. But then this gives us the real capability and capacity to deliver on the bigger game, because we know what's coming at the end of 2022. We've got a really good pathway forward. We know that we've been able to produce product that this industry hasn't seen before.
Mm.
We know that the product that comes off our Nuyarn technology is, probably the first performance wool in the world. It really, really performs. It unleashes the natural characteristics and properties of wool in nature.
Yeah,
so we know that we've delivered all of this, and so we build our own machines. So
yeah, and I love the way you have the whole supply chain aligned from the supplier to the consumer. Everybody's in lockstep regarding their values and what we're going to produce, and like you say, all the attributes and activity. That's a great way to do business, I think, because it's a lot more peaceful on your end, I would think.
And Rick, the challenge that we have is that was never the intention, but through our own internal frustrations, we've had to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the upside to it was, in February last year, when the world started going into a lockdown through COVID, we didn't know how long it was going to last. We didn't know how big it was going to get. But looking through a bit of a pessimistic lens at that stage, I thought that the world would go into a downward spiral because there would be disruptions to raw material. I underestimated the disruptions to shipping lines, but I definitely was on song with disruptions to manufacturing and disruptions to raw material supply. So, at big cost to our business, we accelerated our raw material purchasing, we accelerated manufacturing, we increased our stock holdings for future orders, etc. And when the world started to go into a spin and we started to get into a problem where raw materials were taking up to 8 weeks longer to get to us,
right,
or products between our Taiwan spinning factory and our Vietnam textile factory was taking up to an extra 2 weeks in logistics times, or the apparel from Vietnam was taking an extra 6 weeks, 7 weeks, 8 weeks to get to to California. We had the capacity to move and flex, and it's because we were a vertical natured business, and we've got some very good partners, at arm's length. And so we were very fortunate that we were able to implement strategies to overcome some of these issues. And so, being a vertical natured business, isn't what we set out to do years ago. It's happened through necessity, and being self-sufficient comes with its challenges, but also it comes with an enormous opportunity.
Has that been a benefit to your business, do you think?
Rick, the benefit to our business is that we actually understand fiber, technical filaments. We understand our spinning. We understand textiles and apparel enormously well. And so, I think we make life simpler for our brand partners because we can sit in a meeting with them and they can say to us, look, this is the desire. We are a leading brand in this sector, and we truly believe that if we develop this product, the sky will be the limit. And we can go away. And in certain instances, and I'll say this pretty loosely, we don't like to do this, but we have gone from fiber selection to wear a trial. So this is fiber selection in Asia to wear a trial in Europe in 3 weeks.
Wow.
So I don't know of...
That's fast.
I don't know of a company that can do that.
Yeah.
And the reason that we can do that is because we are a vertical natured business. Now, we don't like to do that all the time, but it shows you the capabilities and capacities of our business.
Yeah.
And so this has been a huge advantage for us, is that our staff, when we recruit, it's very difficult, because when we recruit, we bring people from either a textile background, a spinning background, or an apparel background. We can't find people that understand our business, and we have to train them. And so one of the situations we have is that we have absolutely no people don't leave our business, because I was going to say, the beauty too is,
and once they learn it, though, not only what you can say yes to and how quick you can, or the due process, but also what to say no to, because sometimes that's a bigger challenge. As a business owner, you want more. So you want to say yes to a lot of things, but in hindsight, that kind of hamstrings you because it just takes up too much time and you get distracted, but you can really focus. That makes a lot of that. I love that.
So, one of the things that we've worked on in our business over the last 2 years has been, culture, management style, transparency. 2 years ago, I sat my 5 key leaders down, and I sort of said to my managers, I said to them, just explain next year's strategy. And they all sort of had a good handle on what it was. But to be truthful, I got 5 different answers, and that was my fault. And we've just been through a review, and I've sat my 5 key managers down, and we've been through my senior management team, and we've been through a review and set all the priorities for next year. And what's wonderful is that we've got sort of 90% alignment in understanding exactly where we're going next year.
Yeah, they got it all lined up. Yeah.
So, from an organization structure through to everybody's understanding of where their responsibilities start and stop, what we're wanting to achieve and with who, and how we're going to go about it, it's crystal clear.
That's great.
And so this enables us to be very, very true to our strategy. And so when somebody comes into the business and says, we're going to do this, everybody else, even our middle management and our merchandisers or quality controllers, etc., whoever it might be in the business, saying, well, that doesn't, are you sure about that? So
it's not how we do things, but
developments, you underestimate the cost in a company of a development and the time it takes, and being able to go from sort of 2 out of 10 success rate to 8 out of 10 success rate has been enormous in execution.
Yeah.
And so, it was one of those situations where 2 years ago we had to sit down and we had to say, okay, well, every time we run a product that's not Nuyarn in our business, we just have a real challenge. And we make bad friends with our customers, and we're not prepared to do it anymore. So if it's not Nuyarn, it's noise, and if it's noise, we're not doing it. And so, we've been very, very fortunate to. I mean,
how about the brands like that too? The brands know, what you can and can't do, and what you can line up to, so they know what to expect as well.
Yeah, and I think having analyzed the difference between forecasted volumes with our brand partners and actual orders placed.
Yep.
Every single one of our brand partners have exceeded their forecast by between 31 and 101% last 12 months.
Wow, amazing.
So by taking unique product to the market at a performance weight with performance technology to support the product, well marketed, story well told, our brand partners have been able to significantly exceed their expectations and our expectations, and have outperformed their forecast by between 31 and 101%. And that's testimony to our technology, I believe.
Yeah.
And because we are technology focused, what's on the runway going forward is even more exciting than today. Yeah. And so in terms of scale, in terms of our capacity to build, those building blocks that we put down, in really working hard on the business structure, etc., we've been able to grow significantly this year. We will grow significantly next year and the year after.
That's great.
And so sort of scale isn't a problem, but your point in terms of, having to, being able to know what you can and can't do, and that those sort of decisions that you make up front, our ability to be successful and scale and be successful with our brand partners is very, very much looking through that lens of what we can and can't do continually.
Yeah. We're going to take a little break and give some love to our sponsor. I've heard from some of you photographers out there that you've always wanted to sell your photos online. Well, SmugMug makes it easy. With a few clicks, you can start selling prints and digital downloads right away. They handle everything from billing to shipping and work with some of the best labs in the world. RickSayesPhotography.com has been with SmugMug for over 20 years, and they've handled every transaction flawlessly. Go to ricksayes.com/sellphotos and try it for free. To set up your account today, go to ricksayes.com/sellphotos. Now back to the show. How do you handle, because you are so cutting edge, how do you handle not getting so excited about what's coming and maintain focus on what we have to deliver now? Because sometimes, you come up with a new project and you get so excited about the new project that the current project loses a little luster and you don't pay close attention to it. And it still survives and is successful, but it's easy to get distracted, I would think, because some of the new stuff you're working on is so exciting. Sounds like.
So we've sort of got 5 pockets in our business, and they sit very, very separately, and they are driven by separate people. And so operationally, we have got a very, very big focus. We've got strategies around continuous improvement. And then on the innovative side, we've got a lot of work going on the development side that sits outside of the innovation we've got things going on, and then we've got this machine development phase that sits on itself as well. And you're right, one can get entrenched in one of those pockets, but you've got to be enormously disciplined every week to continue to push each of those along, because each of them has to fire in order for there to be success, and you can't afford to get tripped up. And so, in one of the strategies 2 years ago, it was actually, you got to start at the top with yourself, and you've got to appreciate your strengths and weaknesses. Yeah. And if you can appreciate your weaknesses, then you can prop the business up around you. Thankfully, we don't have all like-minded people in our business, and the people that are running certain sectors in our business are very, very different. And we're very, very fortunate to have attracted these people into our business. And it's a discipline.
Yeah.
And when you go through a month like we just have in November, coming through the better part of an 8-week lockdown in Vietnam, and we're able to achieve huge success through hard work of our people and collaboration with our brands, etc. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And so it's just about having that lens, like that disciplined lens. Is we recently we've been invited into a very, very exciting development phase with a very, very big organization. And we looked at it hard, and we had to say that it wasn't for us. And thank you very much for the opportunity. And we wish you very well with this innovative technology that you're going to build. But because of where we are and what's important to us, we have to opt out. And I think it's that keeps us very, very focused and keeps us on song and in tune with where we're going.
I totally agree. Yeah. Talk about some of the accreditations that you guys have. You've done some good work on that front.
So some of the accreditations are very difficult, because currently most accreditations require a factory visit and an inspection.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, you can't do that right now.
And so a lot of the bodies that validate accreditations are unable to actually travel to Taiwan or to Vietnam or wherever it might be, and so.
Can't do that over Zoom.
So look, as an ethical buyer and producer, our yarns are produced under contract at Chaihe in Taiwan. They are a Blue Sign accredited facility. So it's a Blue Sign accredited facility. Our fabrics are produced in Vietnam in a Blue Sign accredited facility as well. We have Ecotex accreditation. We're going through a renewal at the moment so that we can sell product into Europe and into children's wear as well. And so, we work very, very hard to secure dyes and chemicals that give us a really, really good result in terms of color and performance and durability, and also sustainability.
Yeah,
these are really important things to our business.
Yeah, good for you. Let's shift gears a little bit and talk about some fun stuff. What outdoor activities do you participate in? Do you get out a fair amount? Probably not enough. None of us get out enough.
I'm very fortunate in where my family and I live, and that's on the west coast of the lower North Island of New Zealand, and so. We've got the coast very, very close to us, so we actively and often at the beach with our kids. My kids do a lot in the sort of life-saving area and that sort of stuff. And so I'm a really keen cyclist. I enjoy getting out. We've got forests very, very close to us, and we've got some fantastic outdoor opportunities here. And even though we go through a winter, it's not the sort of winter that you might experience in certain parts of Europe. So we're very fortunate. So we get out fairly frequently, enjoy the outdoors, and we're very, very lucky to be positioned where we are, to have
sounds beautiful
an outdoor on our back doorstep.
Yeah, sounds beautiful. That's New Zealand and Australia are both high on my bucket list. I've been to all the other continents, but I got to get down there. So one of these days, I'll look you up.
We'd love to have you. So, depending on what kind of activities you want to do, summer seems to be getting later, as is winter. You're welcome anytime.
Yeah.
Sort of end of February is the best weather. No rain, no wind, sunshine.
Oh, well, that sounds good.
Long days.
Gets cold here in Bishop, I'll head down there.
Sun goes down at about 10 o'clock at night and comes up early in the morning. So you get very long days.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. Do you have any daily routines you use to keep your sanity? You meditate or you get on your bike every day?
I've got a number of routines that we go through daily, and those are sort of structural business routines to get to a Friday afternoon.
I'll bet.
But we sort of start off going through the motions of the week and getting to a wash up on a Friday afternoon, and there are sort of pretty hard and pressing things that we push through the week. And if we get to the Friday and we know we've achieved all of those with whatever challenges we have, because in manufacturing, you're always, challenged with variables.
Yeah, especially these days.
Then we've had a really good week, and we look to plan, the weeks ahead of us. And so life has become much simpler as our business has matured and got far more structured. But I do have a couple of routines, and it's usually on a Saturday. I go and I do a round cycle trip, nothing too ambitious, about 28 to 30 kilometers that involves a bit of forest riding and stuff like that. And it's
beautiful.
It's just one of those things that keeps me sane and allows me to think and that sort of thing. So rain, hail, or sun, I try and get that underway. But no, we're very fortunate to live where we do.
Yeah, that's good. That clears the head. Yeah. Do you have any favorite books, business books, or books you give as gifts?
I don't. I tend to be a bit of a technical junkie, and so I do spend an enormous amount of time in reading up on technologies outside of our industry and keeping well abreast of manufacturing styles, business leadership styles. I do an enormous amount of reading and research in those areas, and that sort of pushes my buttons. Real life stuff,
Yeah. Any
sort of stuff.
Yeah. Any business leaders or any business books that have inspired you? I read. Seth Godin is one of the guys that I go to all the time, and obviously Steve Jobs, what he did at Apple is pretty inspirational. But any of those kind of folks?
Yeah, they do. And over the years, what Henry Ford had done with Ford, and also some of the earlier stuff that Toyota had done. And so, very often look back to how inspirational business leaders were and what changes they made in very difficult circumstances, and how they may have lost their footing going forward. And so very often and frequently read up on very innovative technologies that were brought to the market and what made them different, and how essentially very, very high-tech, high-performance businesses lost their way in a very short space of time by getting things wrong, and just having a look at through it from that kind of lens.
Yeah, no, that's pretty interesting. Yeah. As we wrap up here, is there anything else you'd like to say to our listeners or ask of our listeners? Anything we didn't cover?
Well, I think, Rick, one of the important takes out of this is this is a really unique technology that is like no other.
Sounds like
so. There are other technologies like a core spun kind of technology, but very, very different to what we do. We would never profess to tell anybody that we're any better than the next company, but we have a very, very unique offering. And so, if you want to go onto our website and have a look at our technology, if you want to shoot us an inquiry, please feel free. But more than that, it's been fantastic just to have a chat with you and
thank you.
And hook up. It's been really, it's been really great to have a chat with you. I'll leave you with a parting shot, and that is that in February, March next year, we will be launching a whole new uses for wool that will bring a new wool product into the market that will outperform certain synthetics for abrasion, and it'll be natural fiber based. This has taken about 2 years worth of inspiration, development, patent applications, etc. And this is going to be enormous for us as a business, and it will just continue to scale our business. And I'd love to get an invite to come back and chat to you about it.
We'll definitely do it. We'll definitely do that. Yeah. And what's the website? Where can people find the information these days?
www.nuyarn.com or www.nuyarn.co.nz.
Okay.
And if anybody want to email me, I'm happy to give my email address. But that's a good place to start, because all of those inquiries filter through to our business quite quickly.
Okay. And Nuyarn is Nuyarn, correct?
Correct, yes.
Yeah, cool. All right. We'll put a link to that in the show notes, and maybe we'll put your email address if someone wants to reach out that way. Well, it's been great chatting with you as well, and I look forward to coming back and talking about the new launch after it's out. That'll be exciting.
Rick, thank you so much for your time. Enjoy your California winter, and I hope you get some rainfall soon.
I do too. Thank you. It's been great talking to you.
Okay. Take care.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Outdoor Biz Podcast. Be sure to visit our website, theoutdoorbizpodcast.com, where you'll find show notes with links to everything we talked about and more. Subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts so you'll never miss an episode. And while you're at it, if you found value in this show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes. Or spread the word and tell a friend about the show. That would really help us out too. Be sure to tune in every week. And thanks again for listening to the Outdoor Biz Podcast with Rick Saez.